Hello, hello, everyone. How is it going? It's been a while. Are you all good? I see that there was a lot of people waiting in this one, as always. Got a lot of people waiting. It's like our main sport. Okay, so you cannot hear me? Tell me no. I think you can hear me. Or maybe there's a lot of delay. No, I don't know. Okay, I will continue. So, thank you everyone for being here once again. I wasn't able to be here in the previous weeks because, of course, we're very busy with the GodotCon. We're very busy with many other projects that we're working on. If you stay until the end, I have like a small sneak peek, but top secret. You shouldn't share. And yeah, I wanted to do a stream this week and next week, and after next week, I'm gonna just take a month or so break because of the conference and other projects that we're working on. So this will be the episode 19. Next one will be the season finale for Godot Tomorrow season 1. Then I want to do like another stream that will be more informal, just asking everybody what they think. I uploaded a few ideas before about maybe trying some games from people, maybe giving some feedback on projects or doing any other activities. But that will be for that episode. So as always, I'm gonna cover a little bit about the news. There was a lot happening. I don't want to go too deep into it because again, like the least time I can spend going over things that you probably already know, the better. And then we're gonna do a small Q&A and then see you next week. But let's see. Um, I see the chat already there. Are you the project manager? No, I am not the project manager. I'm the director of the foundation. So it's different. We do have project managers. The name maybe it's not the best for the reasons we have. We have Remy Akian, you might know him, who's been like more or less like the project manager for the project, like the code in GitHub, like the releases and all that. But then we also have like a project manager inside the foundation who's helping us out with all the contractors. But yeah, let's jump into the first one. Of course, this one is no surprise to any of you, but there was a small indie game coming, made in Godot, which actually broke a lot of the charts. This is Slade Spire 2. I gotta be honest, I already spent way too many hours during the weekend playing this. So yeah, I hope you you don't try it if you never played it before. If you did, you already know how it can be. I hope you don't try it before any important deadline. So you have something to do, don't play it. But if you are on a holiday, a lot of people I know are on a break. You should definitely give it a go. Um, yeah, it's been crazy to see. Like internally, I'm seeing like a lot more people are contacting us, especially after this, which on a certain level, it's a little bit sad that it had to be such a huge game for people to notice Godot, right? But it's always good that a lot of more companies are considering moving to Godot, using it for their own projects, and this is the validation, right? Like if they can do it, you can too. Of course, I'm not saying that any game you're not gonna have any issues, but if it's a 2D game, I think Godot is already proven to be perfect for anything you need. Um, I see Dev saying it's so good. Got like 40 hours already. Yes, I didn't get to 40 hours, but I'm not that far. I'm not that far from 40 hours. But yeah. So yeah, this been great. Uh, Broke a lot of the records, and there's still a lot of people playing. It's great. There was a little bit of a controversy with the balancing and all that, but that's gamers are always like that. They use the methods they have to just make some noise. I think the game is quite difficult, but that's my personal opinion. I still enjoy it a lot. But yeah, that was one of the bigger releases we had. So I'm probably gonna see that one on the future screen here, like for the 2026 video of the showreel. So yeah, that's probably gonna be the thumbnail as well. But maybe something else bigger comes out during this time. You never know. And also, what's happening next month? Why is it going to be hard for me to stream? And where you should be, maybe, if you want to. We're gonna be in Amsterdam in the GodotCon. This is gonna be the GodotCon, the first one we do in Amsterdam, and the last one we did was in Boston. We also had like the Godot Fest, which is an event in Munich, but this one is going to be like the return of the regular official GodotCons in Europe. 23, 24th of April. There's going to be a lot of talks. I've seen already like some of the submissions. I've been evaluating them. They look really, really good. There's a lot of nice, interesting talks. There's also some things that, you might miss because the most important thing of this event is meeting with the people, getting to know them, see what people are building on, and we're going to have a showcase with games. So if you have a game you want to bring it on, feel free to do so. And yeah, there's still some time. There's like until the 30th, so you have like 5 days to submit a talk if you want to. I gotta say the competition is quite hard already, so the chances of the talk getting approved is very thin. But you never know if you have a very interesting topic. And of course, if you want a ticket, you have it here. And we're starting to get some sponsors. There's more coming, but these are the ones that have already been confirmed. So we have W4 Games, we have JetBrains, Sentry, Chasing Carrots, and 7 Studios. So yeah, it's been great. Looking forward to it. And yeah, the art that Thibaut made is always so good. We're gonna have T-shirts with this design, and there's gonna be like a special pin. I do have here like the Godot pin that we always give at events, but we always make like a special one for the conferences. So there will be one special for the Amsterdam one. But yeah. Then we had a release, 4.5.2. Like, wow, do you remember about that one? So yeah, there's a lot of big games. We mentioned one already that are still running in the 4.5 branch. So there's still a lot of things that we can do. And you can expect this sort of maintenance releases on this version and on the 4.6 one. There has been some snapshots for the 4.6, which now, as you know, instead of being here on the latest news, like the snapshots are in the latest releases. So we have here the 4.6.2 RC2 with a very, very interesting game there. I actually found about the game in social media on my free time, and I was like, wow, this game looks super cool. I wish it was Godot. And then I checked, and yes, it was Godot. So I'm very glad to see the game featured. Yeah, looks very interesting. Funny raccoon game. But yeah, a lot of improvements here, especially if you are, don't want to update the game. You need to get some changes in. You need to download this one. We are going to be also backporting some of the bigger changes that we have to these versions, but I will talk a little bit more about it later. Let's see, how are we doing here in the chat a little bit. Okay, I see. Save your questions for the end, and we're gonna do like a Q&A. But yeah, repeat them if I didn't see it. Okay. Another big news since last time we streamed was this GitHub repository, which was NVIDIA RTX fork. A lot of people have talked about it already. I've seen a few videos that were of dubious quality, but like once the right people got their hands on the tools, like they made a lot of cool demos. This was announced by NVIDIA at GDC, and it got a lot of attention. I think it's super cool that they are able to do this, and we're gonna find the best way for people to use it. But not everybody, I think, needs to take advantage of this sort of features. So I don't think that we're gonna have Slay the Spire RTX anytime soon. um, so yeah, I see a question. Will they contribute back? Yeah, I think that's the plan, right? Like that's why you make something open source and you share it. Like it might take some time for it to happen, but the best case scenario would be that this is something that you can download if you need it. But if there's any changes that need to happen in Godot itself for this to be possible to be an extension and things like that, that's something that we can work together in making. Of course, this is not any official partnership, like they decided to do this. We talked about it. It looks super cool, but it's a project that they have. It's not any sort of collaboration at the moment. So yeah, one of the examples I really liked is here from Frank on Blue Sky. At least I saw it, which is with the Godot RTX. It looks super cool. Like this looks like a Blender render. It doesn't look like Godot, right? And you can see how the light changes, like the tiles, the reflections and everything. It's honestly super interesting. Looks very good. Here's where it gets very intense and sped up. But yeah, we really need more of this sort of artist taking, the time to make the sort of demos, because whenever you check these sort of projects and programmers are using it, the demos are not as nice as these ones. He also made another one which is in the same scene but just with a model and some lights and reflections. Um, so so yeah, it's super cool to see. Another thing that I've seen also on social media that was kind of related to this was this post, but by Passive Star, which was about the area lights, which is a PR that still hasn't gotten it to it. And it was funny to see a lot of people thinking, oh my God, Godot RTX is looking super cool. And it's like, this is not Godot RTX. This is just, Godot. And that's another reason why, like, I feel a lot of these features get, in the minds of the people, like very confused about if you have the latest enabled, it's going to look great. But if you are a good artist, you can make these sort of scenes with the current features that we have. Of course, the more you have, the easier and the more expressive you can be. But yeah, it's quite good. The PR is made by Cookie Butcher. Cookie Butcher has already contributed, and I believe he has like a plugin, Asset Placer or something like that. Was it called? And yeah, this is still a work in progress. You can see here the difference between like an artist rendition of a feature and then like how the programmers are just trying it out and making the test scenes. So like it doesn't look so exciting if you have something like this at the beginning, but once you see it in action, I think you change your mind. So that's always good to know, like the same we do. Um, the same we do on the release page, right? When we do the release page, we want to highlight how the features look, and we need help from people like Passive Star or like Tivo to make something that looks nice. I think this one looks pretty nice anyway, but yeah, I think this one is more like easy to the eyes. Um, so yeah. All right. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is a little bit about the asset store. I see a lot of people very surprised every time I talk about it. This is something that we've been working on for some time, and it is making its way into the 4.7 release. It will hopefully make it before the feature freeze, and we're gonna still be working on it and improving it during that time. There's already a lot of people using it. I'm very happy to see that people are submitting stuff, are reviewing assets and using it. And once it's included inside the editor, I think it will be nicer for everybody. And yeah, I think people will pay more attention. So for now, what I'm really, really recommending you is like this is your last chance to give it a go before we actually make it public. And once we do that in a more explicit way, I'm sure a lot of people will want to see it. Will if you are maintaining a plugin, if you have something like some tools or assets, you want people to get it in their hands whenever this is released, you should go in, test it out, upload your assets, see what you think, and you're gonna be there from day one. Um, there's still a lot, of course. We have here like a roadmap, a lot of things that we need to do still. The selling and buying assets is something that will come further along the way. Our main priority right now is to replace the asset library that currently exists, and this is what I was saying before as one of the changes that will make it to the previous versions. So the idea would be that, once we do replace the asset store, you're gonna have on those previous versions, if possible, and if it's not breaking anything else, on previous versions of Godot, like a version that you can download with the asset store included there instead of the asset library. There has been already people making plugins that you can get your assets from either way, like from the asset library or the asset store, but the tab will be uh, changed. And yeah, I think it's super cool. I'm super happy that people that have tried it out liked it. I'm happy to see that there's like, oh, I'm not happy to see that YouTube thing, but that's because I'm on a private window. um, but yeah, a lot of features have been added. The change log for the different versions, reviews for the assets, like things that people were asking for in from a long time. Yeah, quite complete. Um, then I think those were all the news that I wanted to cover. There's a lot more that happened, of course. I think it's been 2 or 3 weeks since I did a stream, but these were like the most important ones. And yeah, we're already like halfway through the stream, so now we can do a little bit of Q&A, and then I'm gonna leave it there. There were some questions already in the uh, how's it called, the forums. Um, as always, we have here one by Saul asking about TAA rework planned. I don't think there is any TAA rework planned. And then also, are GD extensions like 3Rain 3D ever planned to be made official, so it's well supported in the long term without breaking, since 4.6 broke a lot of plugins? So that's one of the goals of the asset store, like that you don't need something to be included in the engine for it to be something that you can rely on. I think that once we improve the flow between the assets and how you install them, there's going to be less need from people to actually go in and say like, oh, this plugin, I use it a lot, you should include it in the main version of Godot, because it's quite different to be working on a project if that's already part of Godot, that needs to be synced with the releases of Godot. So maybe you want to make a lot of features, but then you have to wait until 4.8 until people see it, versus having a plugin that you can update whenever you want to and whenever it's more comfortable for you to do it. And yeah, and I saw some people asking before. Got the same YouTube captcha today too. What could be the reason? Amy said because he's private. I said private because I'm using a browser that I don't use. Like I'm using like a different window of a browser that I don't use a lot. So probably I don't have the cookies, all those sort of things. One thing before I forget, and then we can go to the Q&A. Sorry, like I went too fast. But there is a 4.7 dev tree coming out soon, but there were some people on holiday. Things are a bit harder to get on time, but you should be able to see it maybe today or tomorrow. This week, definitely. If, as always, you want to check in what those changes are, you can go into the interactive changelog and yeah, give it a look. All right. So now, yes, now we can go to the Q&A. Let's see if there are some questions that I missed here, but feel free to ask some more. Is 3.7 like an LTS release? Not necessarily. LTS would be if we keep, for instance, 4.5 for like a year and or like 2 years, something like that, and then we keep making updates to it. And I think that works better in projects where it's really hard to upgrade from version to version. Our goal is not to need that, but to give you those patch releases like the 4.5.2 that you saw. But also, like, if it's very easy for you to update to the latest version, you should. So an LTS, something that maybe a project that has been going on for a long time, they still need some sort of support. And in our end, at the Godot Foundation, we are not working on the 3.x branch. Of course, we still need to make the releases. We still need to make the builds, like uploading. Like there's a lot of work that's not specifically development, some review even that needs to be done. But we're not spending almost any resources there. So it would be not correct, I believe, to call that a long-term support version. But the community still is working on that. There's some games that are still in 3.x. Some popular games that were made in 3.x have been ported to 4 already, especially if they wanted to go to consoles and they wanted some more stability and things like that. They just updated to the latest and that's it. It was a bigger pain to go from 3 to 4 than it's to go from 4.5 to 4.6, but still it's something you can do with some development time. But yeah. What are some features that are coming to Godot 4.7 besides the one we already know of? So that depends a lot on what the time is like. I know HDR is going to make it. I believe that for this 4.7 release, like we already have HDR in Linux, which was missing from the previous one. We got it on Mac and we got it on Windows, but I think Linux was missing. And then there's a lot of things that could make it or not, depending on if it's ready by the time that the feature freeze happens, which is by the end of next month. So before the GodotCon is where we're gonna say like, okay, up until here, whatever made it in, that's gonna be in the release. Afterwards, all of our focus will be on fixing bugs and stuff like that. But I don't want to promise any feature because we don't know yet which ones are going to make it for that time. But yeah. Is there a place we can see in more detail what's being worked on in the foundation side? For instance, we keep hearing that the traits need more work, but I don't see a lot of activity on the PR. Yeah, on that one, ideally we will have more progress reports like the XR team does. Let me go to our website. So the XR team actually, like Bastian, does a very good job of making a report in terms of like what are they working on, what were their improvements and things like that. But that's more up to the team leads to do this sort of work. And in some areas, we don't have any active team lead. So it's a bit hard for us to take someone that's maybe, working. One of the things that I mentioned here on the previous episodes, like we're improving grid maps. That's like the 3D tiles that you can do. So that's probably something that we should do, like a blog post about. But then, like, do we take that person's time to say, like, okay, stop improving this feature and write about how awesome it is? It's a bit tricky. And in terms of like, if you want to know exactly what the GDScript team in this case is talking about the traits, you can go into the meetings that they host and listen to it, and if you don't have the time to do that, you can go and check the notes. So all the meetings should have their notes about what was discussed and things like that, so you can check the status of it. As far as I know, I'm not super experienced in languages, so take what I'm gonna say with a grain of salt. As far as I know, the main issue with the traits is how the type system works internally in Godot. So that needs to be reworked first before we make something on top of it. There has been some proposals of people doing it a different way, but you can always say yes now and everybody will be happy, and then when they go and try it out, it's not what they were expecting, or like it breaks everything else. So it's good to do it in the right way, and in this time, as far as I know, there are some changes that need to happen before. So that's something that you can check in those sort of meetings. But yeah. Are there any plans to make new Godot sprints? Never joined one in the past, but it seemed like really cool opportunity for prospective devs to be more involved with the core development. Yes, Rick Subtil 8478. I wish we had like more sprints. They are very, very positive and very, very fruitful. The problem before, we used to do like the sprints together with the GodotCon because more people were able to travel to the same place and all that. But they require some extra planning that at the moment we just cannot take. Especially in a city as expensive as Amsterdam, which is where the foundation is based. If we were to do like this sprint, we would need to find a place where to host it, get the people there, and also like a lot of contributors need to travel there. So we might do a sprint this year in Spain, which is cheaper, and a lot of people can travel there because there's a lot of airports and trains and stuff like that that get you directly there. But yeah, it's something that everybody definitely wants, but it's a bit harder to dedicate the time to it. For the people who don't know what a sprint is, usually sprints in a company is different than what you hear about in open software. Um, in a company, a sprint might be a period of time in which you are working in something. For open software, in general, is you get all the people that usually meet online to meet in person and work on something in particular there, or just discuss about what the work that needs to be done in the future. Um, what that work is. We've done a few. We used to do one a year for the Godot team, and as I said before the GodotCon or after the GodotCon, everybody just met and discussed about it. But it's it's quite difficult, and the bigger we are, the bigger rooms we need. Last time we had to like get like a place to host everybody. We're like, I don't know, 20 something people, which it doesn't seem like a lot, but you need to have like proper tables and everything, and a hotel close by, and it's just organizing a mini event. And at the time, we had some extra help, but at the moment we don't have anyone that can help us with organizing all that. So if the community were to make one, maybe we could participate. That's always a possibility, but at the moment I don't see anyone volunteering. But yeah. Thanatos asked, like, a game jam, ever consider having an official Godot game jam? So it's not an official one, but it's the most popular one, and the ones that we endorse the most is the Godot Wild Jam. I think it's quite nice. People behind it are lovely. It's been running for a very, very long time. But Godot being so present in so many game jams, I think it's better for the engine than us making one jam for Godot specific games. You know, it's so popular that now you can participate in any game jam you like, and I think that that's way better. I think doing a game jam for a specific engine could work if you're a smaller engine, or if you want to get more interest from the community, of more people to collaborate. That's a great idea, you know but at the moment I think that Godot is so popular in general in game jams that doesn't make a lot of sense to just discriminate because of that. So yeah, we have considered making one, but I don't think it brings anything interesting to the table. There were some projects like at the GodotCon in Berlin in 2024. There was a one PC jam, so there were three PCs at the conference, and you could go, you book your time, you go to a computer, and then you have a project, and then you need to work on it for an hour, and then you leave, and then somebody else comes to that PC, and then they play, and they continue developing. So that was an interesting, I guess, Godot exclusive jam. And I always personally wanted to host a game jam in which you could only use the Godot.svg image and no other images. But you know, once I retire, I can do more of those sort of activities. For now, like there's a lot more things that we need to be doing. Internally with the team, we do participate in internal game jams to test some features or to work on something. So we get the people who are building the engine to actually use it and be frustrated with it. And once they are frustrated with it, they want to go and fix those things. But they are not public, and we don't have any sort of like prizes or goals or anything. If you saw recently, there was like a PR made improving one of the demos, one of the Godot demos, which we just set up, 3 hours, a bunch of us internally to just improve the 3D car sort of demo. We did some stuff. We had a little bit of fun. We found some issues that we should fix, and then we left it there. But yeah. When will the next 4.7 dev version release? Asks Matt's Power. So it should release today, tomorrow. It depends. Maybe, definitely this week. But there's some people, on holiday and in many places, especially during this week. So yeah, that definitely slow things down a little bit. Will the C# GD extension come in 4.7? So no, it will not be included in 4.7, but I'm sure we will release a test build. We are doing internal tests with it, and it will be just a separate build for people to try out. I'm also trying to hire an extra person. I'm pretty close. Once I finish that, I will announce it here. To make some extra progress and go faster on the C# front, because we've been going a bit slower. But yeah, the priorities there, of course, are, as always, getting the C# builds on the web as well working. So hopefully with this new person, we can get this done in a timely manner. But yeah, for 4.7, you will probably have like the experimental build of the C# GD extension, because it will require a lot of feedback from people to actually know if it's good enough or not. Any news on GDScript live stream, similar to the rendering one that was some time ago? I'm not entirely sure what you mean about GDScript live stream, so I cannot tell. Where can we check the meetings you mentioned before? Okay, so for checking this, on our website, we have here a community tab. Here in the community tab, you can see all the places where the community meets and our networks. And there is at the bottom here, engine development platforms, the Godot contributors chat. So you open here, you log in with your Godot account, and then you will see that there's a channel called GDScript. So in this channel, you will see people talking about the development. This is not for going in and asking your questions like, hey, how can I do this in Godot? This is more like, okay, we are developing stuff. And yeah. Then here at the top, you see the banner. There's GDScript meetings post at the moment. So there isn't any new meeting scheduled, but there are meeting notes. So you can open the meeting notes, and you will see here what happened. Like here, there's like some list of things that need to be discussed. And then the notes from the last meeting. You see like there was a meeting about structs, and here you have all the discussion about it. Um, yeah, that's more or less. I hope you could follow how to get there. But yeah. Respite from reality saying they mean Q&A with the JavaScript dev. Oh yeah. No, at the moment, like I wish we could do it, but I wasn't able to find anyone to do it, and there's some things we need to solve first, as well as the C# person. I'm trying to hire somebody as well on the JavaScript team. So since we're working on that, like that's like a priority over doing a Q&A. But yeah. All right. So I think that's more or less it for this one. I will see you next week, I think. But if there's some other questions, I always like to try to close it and then start answering like 10 more minutes. So this is the time to do those final 10 minutes of questions if you want to. And I want to remind everyone, if you want to talk with me or anyone else on the team, we're going to be at the Amsterdam event, the 23, 24 of April. So next month, in a month, just a month from now. And yeah, looking forward to see you all there. There will be a lot of interesting talks, a lot of interesting people, nice games, and there's gonna be some surprises as well, because we're very, very close. The venue is like 2 blocks away from the Blender's offices, so we're gonna hear also some things from the Blender team that will hopefully be around there. And if you always wanted to visit Amsterdam, perfect holiday. Uh, just happy to see you there. And I mentioned at the beginning that I was gonna make like a sneak, like a tease of something, and I'm gonna do it. But this is a secret that needs to stay on this stream, okay? Because I'm not supposed, and it's gonna be just something that will be coming soon. Okay, gonna leave it there. But as always, if there's some questions, you can leave them on the forum. In the Godot Tomorrow streams thread, you can ask anything, and next stream I will go through it. And yeah, see you all soon. And thank you for being there. And bye.